Hello, good morning children. As we have started studying William Shakespeare's The Classical Tragedy, a great play, Romeo and Juliet. We have seen the introduction to this particular extract and the author's introduction yesterday, and few things about the works of William Shakespeare, the total works of William Shakespeare that we have seen yesterday. And we have discussed about some of the works of William Shakespeare in yesterday's class. And today we are going to have a complete picture of the plot and the theme of Romeo and Juliet, which is given to us under the title called The Background in your textbook, that is page number 1. Dear students, open the textbook and observe each and every word, the punctuation marks used by Shakespeare here. Then only you can understand William Shakespeare. And before we move on to the unit or Romeo and Juliet, we have an activity by our board, PU board, which has 2 points or 2 questions here. See, they interrogate us, have you heard of any legendary classical love stories? Is the first question. Yes, of course. To this extent of our studies, education, age is concerned, everybody knows some or the other legendary classical love stories. So especially Romeo and Juliet, I think most of us know Romeo and Juliet and love this particular work of literature, isn't it? So in the same way, as we have Romeo and Juliet, we have some more pairs of lovers which will come to our mind when we talk about Romeo and Juliet are Laila Majnu, Devdas Parvati, isn't it? These are the names that come into our mind when we start Romeo and Juliet. And they are the classical tragedies, legendary classicals of literature. But when you take up Romeo and Juliet, it stands first among all the legendary classical love stories of tragedy. Yes. Then, second one, we need not spend more time on pre-reading activity here. You can think about other works, and some of you might have read other works of other stories on this particular theme, that is classical love stories as such. And second one, in what manner do these stories usually end up? So, since they are called as tragedies, since the hero and heroine of these stories die, finds a death at the end, became victims of one or the other thing in their life. So they commit suicide. They die themselves by committing suicide. And that is what the tragedy here is, isn't it? And when there is no support from the parents from both sides, so usually both the lovers will choose that particular path of suiciding, committing suicide. Isn't it? So that is why here in this particular story, see, I am moving towards the background here. I'll just read it out and explain few things in between about the story or the source from where William Shakespeare has taken, and that source from Greek and Latin works which helped Shakespeare to take up or to write on the themes or the works that he has published or written have the source of either from Latin language or from Greek language. So the Roman cultures, Italian cultures also helped Shakespeare tackling or including some of the themes in his great works, that is plays. So, the background. So, look into the textbook and observe as I go on reading. Please listen carefully. The two noble families of Verona, the Capulets and the Montagues. Yes, you might have knew the city called Verona. In the previous class, the two gentlemen of Verona. Yes, this is the place where two noble classes or kingdoms lived, that is Montagues is Montagues and Capulets. So these are the two families that were lived in one of the historical famous city called Verona. Yes. And here, okay, place of living. And they were soon enemies. They were born enemies. Who? What? Enemies. Or you can call them as born enemies. Yes. Romeo and Juliet belong to rival families. Romeo, son of Montague, okay, and Juliet is the only daughter of Capulets. And by the works that we come to know that at the time of Romeo and Juliet writing the work, a play, the age approximately was 13 to 14 years is, and Romeo between 20 and 22. 22 years, of course. But we cannot say exactly that the age of Romeo is 20 or 21, age of Juliet is 13 or 14 as such. So in between this, or it might be 22, 21 years or 22 years. It might be 13 or 14 years. Okay, exactly we cannot say, but that is the guessed age of these two characters, Romeo and Juliet here is. And the main characters in the play, the leading characters which holds the central theme of the play are Romeo and Juliet. Okay, remember this, have this in mind, don't wrongly interpret in your writings when you write answers here. And moreover, in most of the occasions you don't get a chance of writing these things. It is just because to make you to understand what is the play Romeo and Juliet deals with. Okay, then you have to know about the characters and who are Romeo, who is Romeo, who is Juliet, and who are these couplet, Montagues and Capulets. Then see, Romeo and Juliet belong to these rival families, Capulets and this one. What? They are rival families. Oh, these are. Then old Lord Capulet hosted a grand supper. Grand supper means Capulet, what? Capulet, the Lord Capulet, you can say Capulet, hosted the grand supper. Supper means lunch. Oh no, dinner. Dinner party. Lord Capulet hosted a grand supper. Though Romeo belonged to the family of Montagues, who is an enemy, he attended the supper in disguise to see Rosaline. To see Rosaline. Yes, one more character revealed here, that is Rosaline. Yes, and she is the first lady love of Romeo, and he was behind Rosaline because he liked Rosaline. She went to Lord Capulet's party, grand supper party, to attend the party, Rosaline. So he was very much eager to go to this party, not to participate in the party. There was no invitation to him because he is the rival enemy of Lord Capulet family, but because he wanted to follow and see Rosaline here. So, to enter into the grand supper party hosted by Lord Capulet, so he has to plan with plan here, and the planning was he has to go inside the party in disguise. ಅವನು ಮಾರು ವೇಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಅವನ ವೇಷವನ್ನು ಮರೆಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. So he has to change all his appearance, everything, because they should not identify him that he is a Montague. And there was no invitation to the people of Montague family because they are enemies, rivals. So there is not only the family members but also who are in support of these families. What? The Capulets and the Montagues. So, after seeing the name of Rosalind in the card, invitation card of Capulets, he comes to know that Rosalind is going to attend the Grand Supper party in the kingdom of Capulet. So, he decides to go to the party in disguise. So, then see what happens there. There he sees Juliet on the dance floor and is fascinated by her beauty. So, why did he go to the party? To see Rosalind. So when he entered and he observes the participants over there, and he was searching for Rosalind in the crowd there in the party. But all of a sudden, the picture of a 13-year-old beautiful girl, Juliet, comes to his picture there, vision, comes to his vision. Then, see, it was a dance floor. See, you might be knowing about the English parties. Get together, engagement parties, all those things, and inviting parties. All these parties have different delicacies of food, music, a dance, and even some breweries were compulsory. The breweries were compulsory, were arranged in those parties. And since it is the Lord Capulet's party, why did he arrange Grand Supper? What is the reason for Capulet to arrange a Grand Supper? Because a king of Paris is visiting his kingdom, Verona, having the desire of marrying Lord Capulet's daughter Juliet here, marrying Juliet here. Yes. To present his proposal, love proposal to Juliet, he was invited. And it was supported by Capulet also. So, it is the invitation to the king of Paris. So because the king is arriving to his kingdom, it is his duty to arrange a great supper, grand supper to him. So that is the reason. Then see what happens. After the dance, he learns that she is the daughter of Lord Capulet. He goes there in search of Rosalind, and all of a sudden in between, so his eyes fall on the beautiful girl called Juliet over there. Then and there he forgets Rosalind, his first lady love, and then he started describing or enjoying the beauty of this girl Juliet. And after the party, this dance party, he comes to know that Juliet is the only daughter, beautiful daughter of Lord Capulet. Then she feels attracted to the man from the enemy family. Yes, it is a prodigious thing for a man from a girl from a respected family to have a love on this guy here. The following verses express their implicit feelings for one another. So the implicit feelings have been explained, have been brought out or mentioned in these two soliloquies which are prescribed for us as a text for 2nd PU English students. So, now see, as soon as his attention, his vision falls on Juliet, he forgets Rosalind and starts mesmerizing the beauty of Juliet here. So this is the reason, and ashtu saaku namage. We want only this much because we are not dealing completely with the whole play here. It is not a play prescribed for us. It is a two verses or part of the dialogues of two characters, Romeo and Juliet, were given us as verses, and they term it as a poem. So you can also say in our writings that it is a poem antanu helbodu ನಾವು. And ಇನ್ನೊಂದು quality, another quality, the important, a very special characteristic feature of William Shakespeare is all his plays, whatever sonnets or poems, are in poetic, in form and tone, intonation, versification, everything was poetical. The structure, so everything was poetical. We need not read it as a dialogue or a prose. What? The plays of William Shakespeare here. The line, each and every line of his great plays are numbered. Line 1, line 2, line 100, line 200, like that. So it is the speciality of William Shakespeare. You can sing them. You can compose music to the dialogues in each play here. So that is the quality of Shakespeare. It is not that he has written only 37 plays. How come he becomes the world's second largest seller in literature, English literature? His technique, structure of his works, form of his works, tone and intonation of his work, and the themes of his works are much delighted by the readers, critics, and the workers or scholars of literature as such. Okay, then okay, so two verses here, and here the poem begins with Romeo's verse here, or a soliloquy here. So listen and make a note of it, dear students. See, while you are listening to the class, it is better to maintain a classwork for English, classwork but not notes. One long book of 200 pages for 1 year, and mention the date and the title of the topic, okay, and whatever I just scratch on the board, okay, mention them. You will have an idea, you will get an idea, and which remains for a longer time in your mind. You will not forget easily, and you can, recall the day of the lecture. Okay, so now see, in what you have to write about Romeo and Juliet, because since it is an extract from a play. So every one of us are confused whether it is a play or a poem, but it is a poem, 2 verses. You know what may decided by the Board of Studies, PU, Karnataka. Okay, so now see, these you can mention or write like this, as this is a soliloquy. See here, soli means one. Solitary reaper is Wordsworth poem. Loci means speech, where you can write soli, single, or one, or alone is, and plus loci. Loci andre speech. Okay. And it is singular. What? Singular. And so to make it, because we have 2 dialogues here of Romeo and Juliet, so you have to write the plural form of soliloquy. So that is soliloquies. Be careful about the spellings, because most of the students commit a mistake in writing the spellings of these words, soliloquy and soliloquies. Okay, it is the same thing, and plural form of soliloquy. And you can also call this as, okay, one, and second one, you can also call this as dramatic monologue. Yes, dramatic monologue. So, you know that dramatic means action, mono means single, log means, once again, it is a speech. A person, when he is single, alone, he delivers a speech. And for both these, which is in frustration or sad feelings or emotions are expressed here. What? Where? In soliloquy or dramatic monologue. Okay, so you can make use of these 2 words. Okay, one is, and the another one is this one in your writings, in your examinations or tests, as said that it is a dramatic monologue, that it is, they are soliloquies, that Romeo's is the first soliloquy, Juliet's is the second soliloquy, and they are called as dramatic monologues. Antanu kuda ನೀವು you can mention it here in your tests and examinations as well. And Romeo's soliloquy here, Romeo's soliloquy has 10 lines here. So the complexity of the prescribed words for us, and also you can call them as, third one, okay, make a note of it, verses. Antanu. So you can also call it as verse. Yes. So we are talking about Juliet's speech or Juliet's verse, or yes, Juliet's verse here. So in original, so yes, excuse me, it is not 9 lines or sentences, the original dialogue or the soliloquy of Juliet in the actual real play Romeo and Juliet. It is too lengthy, complex, and the emotions and feelings of Juliet were much disturbed by the absence of Romeo there. ಲೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರುವ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದ ಸೊ ಅವನ್ನ ಕಾಯ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು, ಶಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಹರ್ ಪೇಷನ್ಸ್, ಶಿ ವಾಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಗಾನ್ ಮ್ಯಾಡ್ in this soliloquy. So there was more number of sentences, and it is one of the lengthiest verse or dialogue of Juliet given in the text. But the board of studies for us, they have decided, they have selected few lines, that is 9 lines, which are suitable for the students of second PU, okay, are prescribed for our study here. Okay, maybe hundreds of lines of dialogue is given in the original play Romeo and Juliet, but it is only the 9 lines prescribed to us here for our study and to the standard and the age of second PU students here. Okay, so then Romeo's soliloquy, and here also actual lines, the number of lines from Romeo's verse prescribed to us has only 10 lines, but in original play, that is Romeo and Juliet, it is more than this. So only selected lines are given and they were made as verses for our second PU study here. Okay, and here also in Romeo's soliloquy we see Romeo describing the extraordinary beauty, charm of Juliet. He was very much romantic as he caught the sight of a 13-year-old girl on the dance floor in the grand supper party hosted by Lord Capulet. And he was very much mesmerized by the beauty of Juliet. And he expresses his emotions, feelings of love, romantic feelings, romantic emotions towards Juliet in this particular verse as soon as he sees Juliet on the dance floor. And in these 10 lines he goes on explaining, describing, mentioning the beautiful features, physical features of Juliet here. And William Shakespeare is very much rich in using powerful, good, competitive in using the metaphors, okay, here, and he has images, symbols, very good in this use of these English poetical concepts here. What? Metaphors, then images, then irony, sarcasm, satiristic, these ones all given, and symbols are the special features used in a very effective manner in the works of William Shakespeare. These, and they are beautifully used by William Shakespeare. You have to listen, you have to read completely the works of Shakespeare twice or thrice in order to understand the complete theme or the way he dealt with the different themes in his works here. You have to have references to know the meanings of the words of Shakespeare in his plays and verse, because they were mixtured with Latin, Greek and English here. And that is one of the special characteristic feature of William Shakespeare, using the rich images, metaphors, symbols in his works. Then the language of Shakespeare is influenced by the Latin and Greek throughout his works. There is a single work of William Shakespeare completely deals with only English language. No. Almost all of his works have the source, background from Latin and Greek languages. So, some are religious, some are socialistic, some are comic, some are tragic. So, all these thematic structures we find in the works of William Shakespeare. And today, we are going to conclude Romeo and Juliet, only the introduction of author, introduction to the title, the background story of the title or the play, and the language functions, means the structure, form of Romeo and Juliet. We will put a full stop for this poem as for these introductions are concerned. But from tomorrow we will begin the actual poem. The actual verses or soliloquies or dramatic monologues, or you can call them as verses, from tomorrow. So thank you children. Have a nice day.